Hey, welcome back to the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference podcast, right? Yeah.
How exciting.
So I'm Joe Pardo, the host and founder and creator. And it's weird because like the camera's over here, Amy's over here, and I'm hitting the mic.
But see, it's easy for me because you're all in one line.
I know, I see with the camera. So you'll have to be my eyes, Amy.
I was smart.
And I'm looking forward. So we're here live in my studio here at the 234
How
Studios.
How exciting is this, guys? I am in person.
Yes, you're always in person.
Well, yes, but I'm actually
I would hope so, at least.
in the same room with you. It's not a split screen.
Yeah, oh, that's very true. This is not a split. There's
Not a split screen.
no split screen here.
Nope.
So anyway, we're finally, this is season 2 of the MapCon podcast. If you aren't familiar with MapCon, it's the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference, and it takes place September 8th and 9th here in South Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia.
Not too far.
20 minutes from the airport, and last year we had people from literally all over the world show up.
California.
South Dakota, Texas,
all over.
Washington, United Kingdom.
Worth coming to, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this conference has been so much fun to create and put together and work with awesome people like Amy.
I was behind the scenes. I don't do much.
Oh, no. She did a lot. Don't let her fool you. Last year, she did quite a bit to keep the show going.
He does a lot. I don't think people realize how much work goes behind putting together a conference.
A lot.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
lot.
And we would have conference calls in the evenings, and it would be 10, and he's exhausted. But he'd push through, like, we got to get through this. I'm like, okay, all right, what are we talking? He was a machine, guys, a machine.
Oh, well, thank you, Amy. I do really appreciate that.
That was worth it. I mean, I think a lot of people had a great time at MapCon last year, and you should attend this year because you'll have just as much a good time. Yes,
you will. And right now it's only $120.
Even more reason to buy now.
Absolutely, because it goes up May 1st. Not May yet, it's April. So May 1st it goes up $20.
What is that, a week?
Yes, the end of this. So Sunday, like Sunday night at midnight, or Monday morning, whatever I am able to.
Concept though is
probably early
May.
Monday morning when I wake up.
May. We're hitting May.
Yes.
You should jump on that.
Get your ticket. So.
Yep.
So anyway, here on the MapCon podcast, I interview podcasters, and somehow it eluded me to interview Amy J. In season 1. So here we are in season 2. And Amy, I would love for you to not only introduce yourself in your podcast and give some background, but give what listeners can expect from your show.
Okay. So as Joe mentioned, my name is Amy J. I do a podcast called Chasing Dreams. It is a fun show. I just finished actually recording episode 90. Thank you.
That is awesome.
Episode 90 on Monday night. It was fantastic. I'm not going to give it away, but what I do is I interview people who are doing something they love, that they're passionate about, or something that they dream, which Joe is a big proponent of, something they have dreamed of and always wanted to do. And whether it's their main thing or their side thing, their side hustle, if you will, they're pursuing it. And, it's been great. It's been a lot of fun. I think these last few episodes have been enlightening for me. And so upcoming, we're hitting milestone 100. So we're going to see some changes, some modifications slightly, but we'll leave that as a mystery. So tune in to find out. But we air every Wednesday a new interview. And this week's interview is going to be fantastic. I think a lot of people will want to check it out.
I'm looking forward to hearing that. I've been a guest on the show.
Indeed.
And you've been a guest on the Dreamers podcast. Please say you have. I don't know. Oh, no.
Oh, no, this is going to be awkward, guys.
We're going to have to fix that then.
Yeah, we will have to fix that.
Oh, my God.
But Joe has been on the Chasing Dreams podcast, so in one way, the world is right.
Oh, no, it's not right. I need to fix that.
It's right. Mentioned, Joe is a busy guy. He also has a very beautiful baby daughter. So He's a busy guy. He's beating himself up as we speak. But he was a great guest on my show. He was on there. I can't.
It was a
in
long
the
time
teens.
ago at this point.
He was
yeah.
in my teens. I want to say 14, maybe even. It was great. It was great. And we met. Joe and I met, and I'm going to share it because I don't think a lot of people know. Joe and I met at Podcast Movement.
Yes.
And I was the sign girl, which is how I was dubbed affectionately. I'm going to take it. And I was at Kamanzi's table trying to get him to sign his book.
Yes, which I have in that shelf back there.
Stop Chasing Influencers?
Yes,
I think was
that one. Well, he had both his books plus that book there.
Yeah.
The early copies.
It was an advanced copy.
Yeah.
So he was signing that, and he was holding my sign, and it said, "Chase your dreams," on the sign. And Joe looks over, I'm lucky it wasn't video. It was a photo. Joe looks over and is like, "What is that? What are you doing?" And it's like, I'm like, who is this guy? Has a proprietary on dreams or something?
No, I do not. You're making me sound like a jerk. That's what we sound like.
He was so excited. Mind you, this is my first impression of Joe. I had no idea. He was so excited. We exchanged cards. He took a picture with the sign, of course. It was great. And it was the best moment because we've been friends since.
Yes,
and
because you live in Philly, and
because I live in Philly,
which when we were in Texas at the time, so you could have lived anywhere.
We had no idea. I lived like 25 minutes or something like that from him, and we've collaborated for a number of different things. I've helped him with MapCon. I'm going to help him this year, and he's doing DreamCon, MapCon. I don't know if he sleeps. I have to ask his wife. I'm not sure.
Well, no, Ava makes sure I don't.
Well,
that's why we just got that mat that came in tonight. So hopefully she can start sleeping.
We're gonna find out the results later, guys.
Yeah, we will know.
We'll find out.
Falls asleep and stays asleep and just sleeps the whole night.
So Joe is an example of what a guest on my show is. People who are doing something they love, who talk about the difficulties they went through, the challenges, and just what they're doing and why and how they overcame it. Or some of them haven't. Some of them haven't overcome something. So we talk about that as well. So yeah, it's fun. It's been one of the things I think I've gotten from it, and it's something I've heard you ask is, what does it do? I've had some experiences from podcasting, or even this podcast in particular, Chasing Dreams, that have given me experiences I never thought I would have. I mean, to interview Lovey Ajayi, author of I'm Judging You book, to interview Brian Milliken, writer on Haven, I can't, who knows those things happen? And some of you may not know who those people are. But,
I don't know who those people are. Right,
see, he doesn't know who those people are. But if you look them up.
I'm not the demographic, I promise.
It's just, if you ever wanted to interview someone, what I realized is all you have to do is ask. That's been the coolest thing I think about this whole thing.
Have you been shot down at all?
I have been postponed. I have not.
Indefinitely?
No.
Okay.
People will come back and say, hey, right now's not a good time. Can you come back? Ask me in 3 months. Hit me up after the summer, December, New Year, that kind of a thing. I haven't been totally shut down yet. I'm trying to knock on wood. Not totally shut down. Most people are very excited about the concept. And I've gotten positive reviews about that, or positive feedback about people's excitement of what is happening. What happens is the timing. Oh man, the timing is not good right now. Can you come back to me in January, or hey, summer? Right now I'm doing research, and so I can't. It's been that kind of thing. But I definitely don't forget to follow up. Don't forget to follow up. And it's one of those things. So I've been very lucky and blessed that I haven't been rejected right out.
Well, that's good to hear. I've been rejected, but we could save that for when I get interviewed.
We'll flip it.
So for those that don't know, this is episode 20 of the MapCon podcast, and episode 21, I will be getting interviewed for the first time on this podcast by Amy, and we have some announcements to make about that later on in the show.
Yeah, we'll switch the hot seat.
Yes, we will. So one of the questions that came in real quick on Facebook Live, because if you're listening to the podcast, we do have it running on Facebook Live.
I should tweet this. Hold on.
You should. I already took care of it on my end.
Because you're smart.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
why
you.
he's the boss.
Much more
That's
credit.
Why he's the boss, guys.
No, that's Ava. So Stacy asked, it's a really good looking mic. I would agree.
Okay.
And has a good sound. But what mic is it? It's the Shure SM7B, plugged into a Scarlett 2i4, and then, or actually, it's plugged into a Yamaha. I don't know. Off the top
I don't know either.
The MG06 plugged into the Scarlett 2i4.
What he said.
Yeah, that
what
thing.
he said.
Yes.
He's
so
the
anyway,
one who he knows his stuff. So listen to
I
him.
knew it. That's why I had to look. That's how well I know things.
What's
so
that?
are you done tweeting so I can get on to the next question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So you kind of answered it already, but is there anything you'd like to add to the question of what does podcasting mean to you?
Yeah, you know what? I do have some more to add to that, aside from what I told you guys already. Podcasting brings new experience. You don't have to be a professional newscaster or someone in the business, so to speak, to do podcasting. And I think that's the best thing about this medium is that anybody can do it with almost anything. If you have a smartphone, you can podcast.
Absolutely.
Right? And it just allows for people to have, it's another method and mode of communication for sharing your message. And I think that's the most amazing thing is that it gets out there and it spreads faster than you can do with, an ad sometimes. Because you send it to someone sends it to someone else, and it just continues. It's like a ripple effect. And it's very powerful. And the message you share, I think, can be multiplied in its power just by the fact that you're having this conversation. This conversation we're having now is going to be used as a podcast episode, which is also being Facebook Live. And so people are listening to it now who will listen to it later, and they'll listen to it, whenever they can. So you have that ability that radio doesn't have. Pause, record, play it later when it's more convenient.
We got TiVo for the first time.
Right? It's like, everyone's like, oh my goodness, radio that I can pause. It's just like that. And so I think what it does is it's brought another method and mode of communication for areas that don't have that ability. People who are in the health sciences can now share their knowledge and, research with people before that they probably didn't think they could.
Yeah, much quicker. Much quicker.
Right.
And they don't have to get dressed up or anything like we're dressed up
In your
now.
pajamas if you like.
Yeah.
Wake up, just have it right there. Why not? I mean, that's the cool thing about it, right? I can have a podcast right now, which I have done, and communicate with people in Europe and have an interview without having to fly over to Europe. So that's what I think is amazing about it. So I'm a big fan. Podcasting allowed me to go to Nova Scotia and meet my favorite TV show actors and cast and crew. Haven on Sci-Fi. It's fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, that was I guess it's technically the second podcast I've ever done.
Huh.
Chasing Dreams is my third.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I did know that it wasn't your first.
Yeah. Revisiting Haven was my second. And I did
right.
it with
I
a
do remember
friend.
you saying that now.
Yeah.
And what was the first one?
Amy J. Live.
Oh, that's right.
It got morphed and evolved into Chasing Dreams. That's what happens. You just evolve. But, I mean, we just talked about our favorite episodes. I mean, Daryl Darnell does it great. He does episode reviews and discussions all the time.
He does.
Right. He has the Golden Spiral Media Network, whereas me and my friend, we were just talking, and fans enjoyed it, we enjoyed it, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Well, I mean, that's awesome. I have a few shows that I really like, but not many.
It takes time.
It does, because you have to watch the episodes and digest them
Yes.
and have something to talk about with it. And to me, the same thing I do, for business in my shows and my blog and everything,
Yeah.
which we need to actually do. We need to record some video for the vlog before
We'll record the
we get
video
out
for
of
the
here.
blog
And we
when
need
I
to take a
do it for
selfie
you.
together. So
Yes.
we can't forget that.
We keep forgetting that.
I do keep forgetting
Terrible.
that.
Terrible.
So tell me about how you got started in podcasting, because I'm sure it wasn't by accident.
No. I was one who I like to get books and read, and I got a book on podcasting. I was like, what is this thing? It's so interesting. That what ended up happening is it sat on my shelf for a good while. And I wanted to kind of put my voice out there. I didn't know how or about what. still. And, my very first episode, I think I talked about my first experience at Comic-Con. And you can't hear that anymore. Some of you old folks might have caught it, but, it's very bad. It's very bad. But to put that episode out, I pulled that dusty old book out because I didn't know about cool people like Podcast Movement and stuff that were out there or soon to be out there, because I've been podcasting since, I want to say 2013.
Okay.
So
yeah, that was soon to be out there then.
Yeah.
2014 was the first year, and I didn't make it that year.
Yeah, I didn't either. But I used a book which just said, hey, get a snowball and, connect it to your Skype and then record. And that's all I did. And I knew no better. And it was only through time that I figured it out. And it was halfway through those episodes that I was like, all right, I'm going to take this seriously. And I was doing Revisiting Haven at the same time simultaneously. And as I was doing Amy J Live, as I grew and kept doing episodes, I think by the 10th episode or something like that, 3 months in, I changed it from a solo show to an interview-based show. And I just started talking to my friends. I was like, hey, Jason, you want to come on the show and just talk? Just talk about what you're doing. Because I think people should hear about what you're doing, man. It's cool. Yeah, okay. So we'll talk. And then what ended up happening is 4 months after that, it was about April, I decided I want to do this more. I want to do interviews more. But I want to do interviews about people who are doing something they're passionate about. Because I had a cousin or a niece who was passionate and very good and very talented at writing. And she just decided, decided, whatever the case is, she stopped doing it and decided to go a different path. Because there was no future in it. And it made me sad because I'm like, well, there's so many people out there that are making a future in what they love. And that cemented it for me. So I took both of those things together and started chasing dreams.
Oh, I love it.
I know, right, guys?
And here you are at episode 90. Are you doing anything special for 100?
90.
I mean, we're doing something special for episode 300 of the Dreamers Podcast. 3 years.
This is true. This is true. Yes, I am doing something for episode 100. The details are still being ironed out, but there is something special happening for 100.
You got a few months, so you're only doing one a week, so you have a few months.
I have July. July will be the date.
That's awesome, though.
I'm stoked. I'm excited. It's also a little bit nerve-wracking because, right, you've done it. There's a statistic out there, right? Most shows, new podcasts don't get past 7 episodes.
Something like that.
Something like that, right? And here we're about to hit triple digits.
Yeah.
And people are still listening. Thank you. People are still listening. So I figure we're doing something right.
Yeah, well, clearly, right? I mean, you have to, it has to be interesting, but it has to be interesting to you to keep it interesting for other people. It can't just be, it's not just all about you and it's not just all about the audience.
Right.
It has to be, and your guest, right? So it has to be for both, or all three, realistically.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something real quick. Mm-hmm. Have you noticed that your style of interview or the way your interviews have conducted have changed or evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I played with the questions over the course of the years, and and the way I've done it is because now I don't edit like I used to edit, so I used to be okay with like adding things and subtracting things on the fly after the fact. But now it's like I just have a set amount of questions. We go in it as asking, I know what the question I'm going to ask and whether I get those answers or like I know I'm going to get those answers whether I ask the questions or I pull it out in different ways. But I'm okay with letting it go into a whole different conversation.
Right, if that's what it ends up.
Yeah, if that's what it ends up being. Like I'm not afraid to do it because it just is. The questions are a guideline basically. I'm going to get. I've answered. I think only one or two guests maybe that I've had where I didn't get those questions answered. Mm-hmm. But. Yeah, it just depends. Because that's why some guests end up being 20 minutes, some end up being an hour and a half.
Oh, I don't think I ever realized that, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it just depends on how the conversation's going, or if they. I mean, I've had a guest that literally I didn't get to talk for 45 minutes.
You didn't talk?
I did not. I did the beginning. I asked for the background, and 45 minutes later, I was able to finally talk.
Did you keep that episode?
Yeah, I kept it.
Wow.
Yeah, because it ended up being like well over an hour and a half, and I just I mean, they answered a lot of the questions that I would have had anyway. Like, because they just went
interesting.
so in detail. So it's not like, okay, well, next is question 3,
Sure,
even though
no,
you've already
but-
answered it. So,
But it's just interesting. I tend to not do questions. I don't necessarily script it out or anything. Like, I don't have any questions written down
okay.
ever. Well,
See, I've been on shows
one.
like that before.
I've done it once.
It can be tough for on a guest, because if the guest doesn't offer up anything for you to like a framework to work with.
Admittedly, yeah, I'll agree. I'll agree to that. I mean, I do have general questions, hey, that I send out as a flow. Like, hey, here's how the interview normally goes. Here are questions I may offer.
Yes, yeah.
The kind of background. I don't actually know if I've ever actually asked those questions specifically, though. They just kind of, my interviews tend to, like you said, just go with the flow.
I mean, I've had 10-minute interviews that are only 10 minutes because I asked like really random questions because the person just was not like
Yeah.
their answers were so short that it just
That's
wasn't
tough.
it wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
So, and that episode, those episodes got out, but it just
It's tough.
yeah, it is. So speaking of tough, what do you hate about podcasting?
There are 2 aspects I hated. The one I absolutely hate, show notes. I am terrible at them. I've never officially done show notes anymore. I didn't hate revisiting Haven show notes because it was usually things I love. This is what we thought of the episode. Here are some memorable quotes. Here's some memorable things that happened. Everyone loved those. But when you do it for like an interview, it's entirely different because I try to get information that's important or takeaways. And I'm very succinct. So it'd be like 3 bullets. Really, guys? 3 bullets? That's all you got, Amy? That's all you can do for it? So I've always used a show notes service. First, initially, it was Carrie Green, who was fantastic. And now I'm using Christy. You know Christy, I think.
Like my Christy?
No, Christy Host H.
No, not my Christy.
Not your
Okay.
Christy, but Team Podcast. She's fantastic
Okay.
too. So they take that pressure off of me, which is great. The other part that I'm not as thrilled about, but I did for a good 47 episodes. So I did all parts of it. And I always edited my own podcast for Revisiting Haven, all 50 some episodes of those editing. So God bless Daryl Darnell because he does the editing for it. I can't, man.
Shout out to Daryl.
Yeah. You know how much time you get back when you give those away? I get so much time back.
Well, we can talk about that in the next episode
Okay.
about how much time we get back. I have some thoughts on that.
Significant.
So what's one thing that you love about podcasting? I mean, you've mentioned a lot of things that you really do love, but if there was one thing that's like the shining, moment of podcasting for you.
It's impact. It's impact. It's impact on the guest, on the audience, on me as the host. Honestly, it has such a big impact on me just because I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from a lot of my guests, and I think the guests are surprised by the reaction and reception they get from people who listen to their story. And I think the audience is moved by what they hear as well. So I think the impact it has is my favorite aspect of podcasting.
That's a good answer. That is a very good answer. You nailed that one.
Boom.
So where do you see your podcast heading in the future?
I'll still be doing it. That's the best one I can give. In the future, I'll still be doing interviews. I think the format may change slightly. I think it'll be interesting to see. The thing I've learned from these last few episodes is what people want to hear changes. Before it's what were the difficulties you faced, why. Now it seems to be more, I feel like the psychological reasons behind people's pursuit, their dream chase, as I always call it, seems to be the thing that people want to know. What did you experience? What difficulties did you go through? And how did you overcome it? Because I'm going through a similar thing. And so I think I want to start pulling more of that from people. So it'll be interesting because right now I don't have a set format, but I think I want to kind of focus on pulling that more.
I think that's a good thing to at least have a good set idea of like where you want to control the conversation to go.
Yeah.
Even if the conversation is going to go in its own direction and all that, like you still have a way to bring it back without getting so far off the rails and like no track to be like, yeah, we should be in this general vicinity kind of thing.
Truth be told, there have only been 2, maybe 3 episodes that I feel could have been better, where I've gone off the rails, if you will, or the episode didn't really capture what I wanted it to capture. So that's pretty good.
Did you put it out?
Oh yeah, I did, because even though I didn't get anything, sometimes other people will get something from it, and so I don't want to.
And they do, and I've been surprised countless times.
Yeah.
With like interviews, I'm like,
really?
Man, this sounded really boring and not interesting at all.
Yeah.
And then it ended up being like, oh, you know what my favorite episode was? It was like this episode. And I'm like,
yeah, what?
I got done with that, and I'm like, I don't see where like this is going to be interesting to anybody. But like, people
I've been surprised.
Identify with the weirdest things that you might not pick up on.
But I've learned a lesson from it. At least I'll still put it out. It may not be my favorite episode, but I will have gotten something from it at least that I use as I move forward.
Yep.
Learning.
I would agree. So real quick, I just want to recap the that this is the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference podcast, because you can't have the word podcast in there enough. It's got to be in there twice. And I'm sitting in with Amy J here in my studio, live on Facebook Live.
What's up?
Recording right now on the screen to my left. And if you don't know about MapCon, Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference, it's a podcast conference unlike any other. It takes place here just outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and it's September 8th and 9th this year. Tickets are on sale right now. Lunch is included. T-shirts are included. Photographers included, so you can get your headshots. Yes, headshots.
A lot of people took advantage of that last year.
Yes,
yeah.
And the year before. So we have a professional photographer who's been doing it for over 20 years. Since she was 5 years old, she's been a photographer. So she's been I don't want to give her away her age, but
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, but
don't do that.
But she's
a
been
while.
a pro
a
photographer
while.
for 20 years.
She does better than you and me.
Yes, she does. So yeah, there's so many awesome things. You can go to midatlanticpodcast.com to get your ticket. Ticket prices go up May 1st to $140 from $120. So please don't
delay.
Don't sleep
don't
on
delay.
it. Please don't. I don't want people to pay more, Amy. Does that sound? I don't know.
Help
if that
us
sounds
help
bad
you.
Or good.
No, I mean help us help you.
It is, because I need to know how many people are coming. Like, we need to know how many people are going to be there, so we can plan. We pay for food, we pay for the T-shirts, we pay for all the badges. Like, all that stuff's got to get taken care of.
Nobody wants to raise prices. It's just
no.
Unfortunately, we have
I need to know that people are going to be there.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have to pay for things. It's not free.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't want people to pay more than it already is. So please, just make the commitment.
You won't regret it. I mean, talk to somebody who's attended. They've enjoyed it.
I know. I've had one negative set of feedback come back.
Know that.
I did. And you know what? I actually called that person up on Skype, and we talked about it. And
That's
at the
great.
end, they understood everything that happened. And what I learned was that I didn't do a good enough job explaining everything to a T, to the point where they understood it and would have had a much better time had they had just understood it. So it was a learning experience for them. It was a learning experience for me.
Sounds great.
They were surprised that I was willing to want to learn in the first place. And I was like, no, this is how I do things. I want to know, not because I want to be like, I'm not grudgeful or anything like. There's enough people that love it. I want to hear why you didn't love it and what we could do to make it better. And what I learned was I didn't do a good enough job explaining things the first time around. I just made maybe a little too much assumption,
which is a dangerous thing. Yeah, and
it is.
Negative feedback is also constructive feedback if said properly.
Oh, and it was, and that's the thing. So pretty much I've only had positive feedback with the conference. If you had people come from all over the world, it's a really great time, and you should totally take the time to come out to MapCon 2017. middleatlanticpodcast.com, and you can get your tickets. Amy, is there any last thoughts you'd like to share?
Yeah, when is the conference?
September. I just said that. It's September 8th and 9th.
I know, but I just wanted to say it again.
So September 8th and 9th.
I just want to keep saying it. No, I have no. If you ever, I guess I'll say this as a closing of it, Mark, as a speaker guest on your show. If you guys ever wanted to podcast before and you're like, I can't do it, MapCon is a great place to learn, network, and kind of understand what you can and can't do. I highly recommend you attend. So, I mean, outside of that, you could always reach out to me or Joe or another podcaster. We like to help. We're nice people.
Yes, we are. Yeah, I can't always get back to. I used to feel bad. Like I always used to feel like, man, people can't get back to me like when I write to them and they see I saw it on something. But now I feel that pain of like
you understand.
I get it, and I'm like, I have to ignore this for now because I don't want it to the unread tag to go away. Like the biggest feature that anybody could add to a phone or any app is mark as unread again. So my text messages. Wait, what?
Get Spark.
Spark. So Facebook messages, text messages.
So with Spark, you can take your emails and snooze it, and it'll come back.
Yeah, I do that with Inbox from Gmail, but that's just email. I need it for text messages. I need it for Facebook Messenger. I need it for all those things.
Somebody jump on that.
Yes, like seriously, like I need that because otherwise I'll move on. So I just intentionally don't read text messages and Facebook messages because I don't want it to.
I'm guilty of that too. Right, because you can't.
Me.
You can't read. Did you say notificate me?
Notificate me. Yes, notificate me.
Sorry. The best. No, but I agree with you. I will do the same thing. I'm guilty of it. Like I will intentionally not open Facebook Messenger. I've done it for you too. Just because
okay, I bet you have.
Just because I know that there's a message for me to respond to, and I'm probably at work or lunch, and I cannot respond at that moment, and Facebook is always marking it as seen. Stop it. Okay, I will get to them, but I don't want them to feel guilty. She already looked at this. What is wrong? She didn't even respond.
I know.
You know?
Did I do something wrong? Does she not like me anymore?
Why is she ignoring me?
I don't want to feel that way.
Therefore, Facebook, you forced me to just not check at all because of that now. Great job.
Pretty much.
Great job.
I would agree. All right. So the big announcement that we have to make about the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference podcast is that Amy is going to be taking over the driver's seat from here on out.
Crazy.
I know, and I'm so appreciative to be able to hand it. It's the first podcast I've willingly handed over to someone else to take over. And
I'm honored.
I couldn't be more happy. In fact, I talked about it on the vlog this morning. So you won't see it till 4 a.m. tomorrow, but yes.
I'm honored, guys, and hopefully we can live up to the high standards Joe sets. But also, mostly because, the reason you do this MapCon podcast, right, is to kind of show, I mean, it's usually in season 1, you did a lot of wonderful interviews with the speakers, which were fantastic and kind of gave a preview of what they can expect. In season 2, Joe and I kind of talked about that. We wanted to do the same thing. So, save the money by getting your tickets soon and then see the preview with season 2.
Yes, and that's really, so it's not, so it's for that, but also I want it, the idea is to be able to bring on other podcasters that aren't even necessarily going to be the speakers. Like that was the original idea of this show, was like, hey, we're going to have these people on and they're they'll be speaking and get to introduce those people and get to, get a sneak peek at what they're going to be talking about, like what their topic is. And
we're expanding.
Yeah, and we're expanding to be like, hey, let's incorporate more podcasters into it, because like it's not necessarily everyone that can make the conference. Because I mean, heck, Amy couldn't even make the first year. She didn't come in the first year, and that's okay. It's okay. My feelings weren't hurt too bad.
Family obligations.
Yeah, it's okay.
I ditched my family obligations for a year too, though. I didn't mean that, family, if you're listening.
Hopefully they're not.
I just posted it on Facebook, so I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll find out.
Or they'll find out.
Yes, but it's a good point. When we talked about it, we wanted to kind of put it behind the scenes of the people you don't see or get a chance to hear from podcasters who are at the tables or who are participating but just may not be a main speaker. And I think that's a great idea when Joe brought it up, because there are a lot of interesting people at our table last year that I think a lot of people would have benefited from listening to.
Yeah, and they just, I mean, they haven't, they just might not be ready to hit the stage and talk. So
or have wanted to. We don't know.
Good point. Yeah.
Don't know.
So, and if you want to be a speaker at MapCon, that's a great transition.
I try.
You can go to middleatlanticpodcast.com/apply, and the speaking application is still up and live for, I'm not sure how much longer, but probably maybe like another
Don't
month.
wait. Just like the ticket. Don't wait.
Yeah, but don't wait, because we're actually, one of the things that we're doing later tonight after we get done recording
We're picking people.
my episode is going to be starting to pick people and pick talks. So if you want to get in on it, if you want to speak, if you want an opportunity to speak in front of 150 plus,
yeah.
100 to 150 plus podcasters.
It's only been growing. I mean,
that is true. We're knock on wood, we'll be able to do that
take
again.
the plus.
Take the plunge.
Take the plunge.
And submit for a talk, and we'll see what we can do about making that happen for you. So that wraps up episode 1 of season 2, or also known as AKA episode 20 of the Middle-Atlantic Podcast Conference podcast.
Overall.
And you can listen to this episode. It's on Facebook Live right now, but you can listen to this episode once it's aired.
Oh no, you're still airing it, so you tell me.
I don't know when it's going to get uploaded, but probably in like a day or so. Maybe.
There you go.
We'll see. I gotta see. But we're gonna flip it around now, and we're going to
I'm gonna interview him.
Amy is going to interview me. So we're actually, if Amy wants, she can take my chair and my mic. Well, the only thing, then we might have to adjust the
No, I can
letters.
stay here.
Okay, she's going to stay there.
Here. I'm just short,
gonna
guys.
Stay here.
He has this great sofa. It's not my fault.
It is. It's probably more comfortable than this chair. I mean, I love this chair, but it's...
But that's why I'm short.
Oh, no.
I mean, I'm short in general. But
all right. So we're going to end this here and pick up in a minute.